Hello guys, today my conversation is with an American friend from Chicago. He kindly agreed to participate with me in this video. So pay attention in our conversation. Try to understand how a true native speaker of the English language talks. If one day you go to travel to US, this is how conversations happens there. So let's start. Hi Paul, how's it going? Please, could you introduce yourself for us?
Hi, Soul. This is Paul. I am a language lover here in the beautiful city of Chicago, here in the United States, the third largest city in the country. And as you can see here, we've had quite a bit of snow this winter, really in the past month. But today's a better day. It's a little bit warmer. And thankfully, the snow is finally melting.
So, how do you learn languages?
One of the things I'm doing right now is I am watching a video. I'll find a video on YouTube or on Netflix that has subtitles. And what I'm essentially doing is while the person who's narrating the video or talking in the video is speaking, is I'm following along what they're saying with the subtitles. And I may watch that video 5, 6, 7, or 8 times over and over again.
What tips do you have to study?
One of my other tips that I think is really important is making sure that you are listening to the language. One of the things I do is I watch a lot of videos in Italian and Spanish, and while I'm watching them, I'm reading the subtitles in that language. I'm following along, and I may watch that video 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times until I truly understand what they're saying.
What languages are you learning?
Currently, I'm learning Italian and really trying to improve my Spanish. I've been learning Spanish for about 3 years now, and on and off again, just a little bit with Italian, although probably in about the past 3 weeks, I've really sort of focused on trying to learn more and trying to improve.
What's your favorite language?
I would say without a doubt, some noisy friends over here, some geese. I would say without a doubt, French is my favorite subject or my favorite language. I love the sound of it. I think it's just so beautiful. It almost to me is written as well as it's spoken is just so elegant. And that's why I love English so much. Or French. I'm sorry, French.
How did you learn French?
I started learning French when I was in high school. And I was able to really accelerate in the language. And really the number one reason why was just because I was motivated. Always as a kid, I always wanted to learn French. And then my last year in high school, I learned a little bit of Spanish. And it really wasn't until about a couple of years ago that I started using HelloTalk and started using YouTube to be able to learn how to speak Spanish a little bit better and how to improve.
How did you learn Spanish, and how are you learning Italian and Portuguese?
Right now, I have started to focus really on Italian, and one of the ways that I'm improving my Spanish and also learning Italian is by using HelloTalk and by speaking to people, by sending them voice messages, by having conversations with them, and also having written conversations. Not being afraid, if I want to say something, and I may say it wrong, but I'm not afraid to make that mistake. And once I see what the correction is, then I can learn from that. And that's why I think HelloTalk is so valuable, because what you may learn in school may not line up with what you learn when you're actually talking to a native.
Do you have any tips for people learning English?
Some of the tips that I have, number one is motivation. If you're motivated to do something, then you're more likely going to succeed in it. But really, as human beings, we all come to a point where we sort of lose that motivation. And one of the tips I have is that if you know you're starting to lose that motivation, just power through it. Just continue to work through it, because really you want to look at yourself 6 months from now, and in 6 months, where do you want to be? Do you want to be where you can say, I put in 6 months of work in this language, or do you want to be, oh man, I regret just not staying motivated and continuing to learn the language? I believe motivation is one of the best things you can have for learning a language. And I think what happens a lot of times is that people, when they lose motivation, they stop learning. And so at a certain point, we all lose motivation in things. And I think one of the important things is to really just power through it and, think about where you want to be in 6 months. Do you want to look in the mirror and say, okay, I did the work and I'm happy with where I am, or I regret not doing any work and losing motivation? One of the things that really helped me improve my French and my Spanish, and I'm talking about spoken French and Spanish, having a conversation, be able to talk, was when I just started to, I found a couple of French speakers and I found a couple of Spanish speakers. And on a daily basis, I just send messages to them. I talk about what's going on in my day, what happened, my complaints, something that made me happy, what I'm doing this weekend. And at first, it was really difficult to do. But once I started doing it, I really improved. And, still to this day, when I'm speaking in Spanish or French, I'm going to make mistakes. But I don't stop. I don't go, oh, I don't know if I can continue. I just continue talking. And I have to tell you, you'll be amazed how quickly you'll improve if you just start doing this.
Why are you learning these languages?
One of the things that I wish I knew, maybe when I was learning French as opposed to what I know now, is just speaking. Is actually just speaking and actually using the language. There's a bit of a worry, when you start learning a language. You may not know all the words, or you may say things wrong, and you may feel kind of embarrassed by it. I've learned just to really just push through that. And I know going in, I'm going to make mistakes, but I got to get my brain ready. I got to get my brain going and understanding the language. And I hope you guys can hear that, because that is really annoying that truck is completely ruining my video.
If there's something wish you had known before you started, what would be?
Something that I wish I had known, or I wish I had done, maybe in the past when I was learning French, or maybe when I was learning Spanish for the first time, is to just speak it, to just write it, to just use it. And knowing full well you're going to make mistakes, you're going to say something wrong, you're going to embarrass yourself. You just get over that. Because really, when you first start learning a language, I think it's really important, and I did this with Italian, is, within a week's time, I just start speaking. I just start saying the things that I already know. And if I get to a point where I can't say something, I'll stop and try to learn that word for later. But just speaking, just typing, just whatever I can do to learn the language, I think is really important. I think one thing, one tip I could pass along to a lot of people who are learning a language and are using HelloTalk or using Tandem or have some sort of language partner. Don't fall into the trap where you're just going to have a conversation in your language and the other person is just going to have a conversation in their language. I find that happens a lot, and it's something that I did when I first started using this app. Challenge yourself. If there's something you don't know how to say, challenge yourself and figure out how to say it. And if you say it wrong, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to get a correction, or they're going to say, I didn't understand. And at that point, maybe you can say it in your language, and then they can correct it, and you can have an understanding of how to say things. It really is getting your brain used to. Your brain is a muscle, and you really have to work out your brain just like any other muscle in your body, and you have to get it used to being able to speak in another language. Okay, Sol, now a question for you. What do you think is the hardest word in the English language to pronounce? What is the word that's giving you the most difficulty?
I think the most difficult thing for me until today is the sound of EDS, sounds of the end of the words. Also a lot of phrasal verbs that contain letters that have a mood like knife, island, bomb. Also the words for the Brazilians, that's the words that contain th, like a bath, think, thought, and stuff like that. I try to practice my pronunciation a lot, so it need to be clear and clean. At least I used to read 2 pages of books or magazines or old newspapers I brought to Brazil when I traveled to the United States. All of this helps me to improve day by day. But I think the best is not to worry. Study a little bit a day.
What has been the hardest thing that you've had to understand? What is the biggest hurdle that you've had to jump in the English language, when learning the English language? What's been the hardest thing for you to understand, the hardest concept, something?
The most difficult thing to understand is how to think in English. We Brazilians have different way of expressing themselves, I have faced some obstacles since I started studying English 5 years ago. At the beginning of my studies, I took the course in a traditional English school, but there were many young people I couldn't concentrate. I changed methods a few times until I found the method that I study until today. I often came to home from the English school without understanding exactly what I had learned. So I looked from YouTube classes from my teacher in order to understand that subject. I had many sentences that I didn't understand the words because my listening was not good. I have to develop this, because those who don't listen don't speak. Many times I went into applications to speak with native speakers as the Hello Talk to be able to practice speaking in English. Even though my difficulties today, I can communicate much better. So thank you, Paul, for this video. I'm sure that my colleagues also liked it a lot. Anyway, we come to the end of today's video. Did you notice that Paul talked to me normally, as if he were talking to another native speaker? I really enjoyed every moment of that conversation. Did you like this video? So please subscribe to my YouTube channel, also give me a thumbs up. It will help my channel to grow and help other students. See you in the next video, guys. Thank you for being here, also watching.